This is Diaspora TV, your number one global network.
Nga tuvudde wa Dr. Michael Kisembo ate tulina banaffe aba UNAA Constitutional Review Committee nabo bagenda kubanga batutegeeza batubuulira ku bintu bino ebya constitution eya UNAA batunnyonnyola review eno nga bwegenze maaso kiki kye tugenda okufunamu mu review eno oba egenda kuyisibwa ddi ebintu bino byonna bagenda kubanga babituyitiramu era nga tugenda kubeera mpozi ne chairman ne vice chairman ne secretary ne former BOT Dr. Michael Kisembo ng'ate ye ndi naye mu studio wano tempozi ne vice ajja kuba naye atutuukako wano mu studio mu bbanga eritali lya wala mpozi ngenda kutandika to say to let the chairman say a few words and introduce yourself and introduce your team, Chair Nicholas.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey. Thank you for having us. My name is Nicholas Wafo, and the chair of the party. And there's an echo.
There's an echo?
You have been muted. To unmute yourself, press star twice. Mute. You have been muted. Unmute.
Oh my God.
Twice.
I'm based in Austin. I'm the chair of the Constitutional Review Committee, and on this call we have the vice chair of the CRC, and that's and then we have the secretary, Professor Samuel Anguzi, and then we have CRC members on this call right now, and the others who will be joining us. We have Mr. Joshua Mugeram, we have Mr. Albert Makasara, and we also have Mr. Moses Kamia, and there will be others who will be joining us in due course. But otherwise, we are very happy to be on this call with you, and we'll be able to have a conversation and a discussion on the UNAA 2022 constitution proposals that we have available for you. We have a big package for you, and we are ready to discuss and go over all the issues that you might have, the clarifications you might need, and we really appreciate those who will call and ask us questions, and then follow up. We are ready to have those engagements. Thank you very much, Geoffrey.
Okay, and also can we have a word from the vice chair also? Say, introduce yourself and to the committee, to the audience, if it's available. If not, then we can have the secretary.
Thank you, Jeffrey. My name is Samuel Mwanguzi. I'm currently here in Dallas, Texas, and we've been working on this constitution for the last 3 years, and the amendments we are presenting tonight have been thoroughly discussed by members of UNAA and the different organs of the association. So we'll be glad to continue the discussion as we move along. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Secretary Dr. Samuel Mwangzi. And then former BOT, Dr. Michael. Can you introduce yourself and say a few words?
Yeah, my name is Michael Kisembo, and I'm here in the city of Waltham, Boston. I appreciate the work of the Constitutional Review Committee, Mr. Nicholas and your secretary and your team. Thank you very much. Albert, thank you very much for doing good work like this. And it's very imperative and very important to approach this review with the sanity and the confidence we have in the Constitutional Review, so that it is implemented for the good of UNAA. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Michael Chisembo, former BOT.
No, I'm here now.
Oh, you are here now. Okay.
Yes, I am. My name is Tendo Kaluma. I'm a long-time resident of Boston, and I'm proud to say that I've been a member of UNAA for a long time. And so I was also excited to be part of the CRC.
You have been muted. To unmute yourself, press the star key twice.
Strong institution needs great constitution. So we're here to talk about the constitution, and I hope folks will call in and you know have a conversation with us as to what we have been doing for the last 3 years. The body that we were running has a lot of members. Many are doctors, many are very, very highly educated individuals. And so we want to make sure that this does not get lost. The work that they have done does not get lost in the wind. And that's why we're here.
Okay, thank you so much. Dear listeners,
Mute off.
you'll excuse us because the people are on a conference call, and somehow when you hear that muting, and because they have to mute people when the other person is talking, so you might you'll hear that sound coming through. You'll excuse us for that. We're sorry about that. But in the meantime, that won't stop us from going forward about this important cause in our community. Chairman Nicholas, Engineer Nicholas Kaluma, no, sorry, Waku, Chairman Engineer Nicholas Waku. Which state are you in?
Texas.
Oh, Texas. Oh my God! Everybody is from Texas. Is that why
Yes.
the convention is going to Texas? It's because of you.
Everything is in Texas.
Okay.
You have to come here to believe it.
Okay. We shall see next year when we come for the convention. So, just to come through, how will the new constitution make UNA relevant to the needs and aspiration of Ugandans in North America?
Thank you. That's a great question, Dr. Yeah, the new constitution is really geared to making our communities, our Ugandan communities, more relevant.
You have been muted. To unmute yourself, press the star key twice.
Community-based angle of the 2010 constitution. As you are aware, those of you who have gone through the 2010 constitution and who have been following it very closely, you know that it came up with the 3 organs of leadership. That was the BOT, the executive, and the UNA Council. And the reason why they came up with the UNA Council was because they wanted representation from the communities. And that was like one step to which they introduced that concept and that aspect, because they wanted communities to be more relevant and more organized, and be at the heart of the decision making of UNA. So what the 2022 constitution has come up with is to extend that concept even further. And in the new constitution, we have come up with the dedicated articles on chapters and affiliation. And so what we want is that we want Ugandans in every community to have the ability to organize themselves, and it does not have to be as just UNA. They can organize themselves as their cultural kind of etiquette, but at the same time still be under the UNA umbrella, because we embrace diversity. We embrace the fact that we are all Ugandans. We come from the same heritage, but there could be differences. So we have come up with a framework that supports those kind of ideals. And so what we have really done is to come up with the guidelines on how communities can organize themselves so that they can be a powerful force and be at the forefront of managing UNA. So that's something that we have done. Chapter 4 or Article 4 of the Constitution is not on nothing but the chapters and the affiliates. And one can go to the Constitution, the proposed Constitution, to get the details of how we are going about that. But we feel, or we felt very strongly that communities really matter. The reason why they matter is, you know, we live in the U.S., and in the U.S., you have to be organized. You have to come together as a group in order for you to have a voice. We have to make sure that we Ugandans in the U.S. have that voice. So this constitution starts to organize ourselves so that we have a voice that we can present to the American government, and also present to our community, to our government back home in Uganda. And because when we talk as a community, as a group, we are in a united way. We actually come out more strongly, and we listen to more. And it is important for us to have these networks that will lead to business opportunities. I think it's important that we as a community are able to do that. And then right now we have, as part of the Constitution, we have come up with groups and the life insurance. So all these things can only be done if we're together as a group, and we have brought some of those things into our constitutional framework so that they will be part and parcel of UNA. So community really matters. This constitution proposal is really driving UNA into the community, and we hope that it will help us to go and work together. Thank you very much, Jeffrey.
Mute off.
Okay, thank you, Chairman, for that explanation about that question, and maybe to follow up on that. And how have you? You've said you've been doing this for over 3 years now, trying to review and amend the Constitution. So did we have that amendment in the old Constitution that we are able to do that, that you are able to do that?
So, yes, the 2010 Constitution has guidelines on how we can amend it, and we have followed those guidelines. And then the state of Massachusetts, where we are registered, also has a set of requirements, and we followed all of them. And so we have done everything by the book.
You've been muted. To unmute yourself, press the star key twice.
The leadership of UNA, both present and past. We have met with the community leaders of UNA branches and also of affiliate organizations. Affiliate organizations are organizations like Gwanga Muje, NAMUCA, the ICOB and others. Those are affiliate organizations. So we have tried our level best to meet together, but then we had like 2 town halls just to make sure that we get views from the membership. So we have tried as much as possible to follow the 2010 Constitution, what it requires of us to change the amendment or to make amendments, and we have also followed the Massachusetts law.
Mute off.
Okay. As you probably as you have been going through all this process, what difficulties have you did you encounter when you're doing this? And should we say that right now you are finished with the review and we're just waiting to go through or to vote through the new Constitution?
I will start with your last question. Yes, we are through. We presented our report.
You've been muted. To unmute yourself, press the star key twice. Mute off.
And
You have been
and
muted.
again,
To unmute yourself, press the star key twice.
that was presented that was forwarded to the UNAA Council. According to the 2010 Constitution, the UNAA Council has to, at a meeting scheduled for that purpose, they have to approve amendments presented to the General Council or to go to the AGM, and that has happened. So right now, we are by the membership will have to meet, and they will actually an up and down vote. We are ready for now. Yes, we have challenges like we are a voluntary organization. We have challenges and not everybody find the time to attend meetings. The meetings were very rigorous, very exhausting. We met like over 150 meetings. Each meeting will take about 2 hours. So it took a lot of time from us, a lot of call from us and our family. But we were very determined and very determined to work on something that is bigger than us. But the challenges were there, but thanks to God, we survived them. But we also had a lot of cooperation. We had cooperation from all leadership, the convention, the DOT, we had tremendous, and we are saying that leadership look at what we have done and
well, yeah. We lost you there with your last thought, but you will summarize that. We'll bring it back later. Right now, I'm going to go to ladies and gentlemen, just our listeners. So the vice is here in the studios now. He's arrived. Tendo Kaluma is here with us. So Tendo, I will welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Okay, maybe I'll shoot you with this question, Tendo. The chairman, Engineer Nicholas, has told us about all the, the Constitution, how you guys have gone through it to make sure that we get something concrete and that will help the community at large. But as you may know, in UNAA, we've been having some problems here and there, people complaining about, the voting, why is it, people are not, people, so some teams separate because the voting, they think there was rigging in the voting. How have you come, for example, I'll bring it this way, that how will the new constitution ensure the future UNAA elections are free and fair for all candidates, those in office and out of office?
That's a very good question, and I hope you can hear me well.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good question, and as you know, elections have winners and losers, and sometimes the losers do not accept that they have lost, as we have seen here in the United States. But what we have done with the Constitution is to look at all our processes, and we were very deliberate in looking at our processes as a group. And we put frameworks around some of the processes that were weak. We enhanced them and give them frames that are or structures that would last for a long time, that would avert risk, and so that's what we have put in place. So we looked at each of the organizations, of the organs of the organization, and we said that, well, let's look at the EC. What kind of enhancements does it need? Where are the weak points? Where are the pain points that members have been complaining about?
Joining conference now. This call may be...
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
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 Go ahead.
So, and we looked at each one of these organs and of the association and committees as well to find out where their weak points were, and we started strengthening those. So when you read the amendments that we have, you will find that we have, for instance, is a membership unique number, which will be very helpful. So when you join as a member, you're given a unique number, and I think if all goes well, that unique number will be yours for life as long as you're a member of UNAA. And we also strengthened the voter register list so that it is shared from the executive to other folks as well, so that people will be in the know right away when somebody registers and is ready to vote. So that those are important things for making sure that our elections are fair. We also put in some election observers. For instance, we usually don't have neutral observers for within UNAA. So part of the supporting documents for the EC to have observers, people who can come in, neutral people who can come in and observe our elections. And also we also strengthened the candidates' agents. We have agents for candidates who come in there. And we wanted them to have a level of access to where all the voting is taking place. Not to get in the way of the EC folks, but they should have a level of access so that when they're done, it's not just an announcement that, oh yeah, we so and so won the elections, that they would have a count of who is there and who isn't, and and that is very strong. Also, the new things that are coming, of course, is the election buddy, people being able to go to the internet and vote. Those are also important things. I know you're having some technical difficulties.
Exactly,
so
exactly. I'm having. I lost the conference. I'm gonna be coming back as we listen to a beautiful song from our own Jamo Kasenge, giving us this beautiful song, and then we'll come back. We'll be coming back pretty soon. Just stay tuned in.
This is Diaspora TV, your number one global network.
Ndowooza ngamba wava wa mukwano n'otonnya obulungi nzijjuza buli wamu amata I call you milk nesize gwe omulungi wange honey mimi na wewe tukuwe pamoja siku yote nzijuza buli wamu feel me everywhere nzijuza buli wamu feel me everywhere.
Yes, yes.
This is Diaspora TV, your number one global network.
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clearly.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, that is Indian Nicholas. So as we were going, those who have just joined us, we are here with the UNAA Constitutional Review Committee discussing about the new constitution for UNAA and whatever they've been doing to get to this new constitution and what is beautiful in the new constitution, what is going to help the community in the new constitution. That is what we are discussing. And if you have a question, you can get the call us. I'll be opening the lines pretty soon. The number is 781-314-6944. You can always call in and ask your question. We have the chairman, Engineer Nicholas Owako. We have the vice chairman, Tendo Kaluma, secretary, Dr. Samuel Mwanguzi, and former BOT, Dr. Michael Chisembo, is also here, I think, to support and to give them the support. But I thank you so much for tuning in to Radio Ghana Boston, Your Voice and Beyond. And it's Geoffrey Kawesa Katerega, your host, right here now. So as you made, Tendo was still giving us a few things about what they've done to make sure that the elections are fair, free and fair in the UNAA and all those mechanisms. Right now, I'll go to the secretary, Secretary Dr. Samuel Mwanguzi. During this process, Doctor, I know it has taken a long time, 3 years, in the making. What new mechanisms have you introduced in the new constitution that will help develop a culture of constitutionalism, accountable leadership and membership, and prevention of abuse of power, office by UNAA leaders?
Thank you, Jeffrey. This is Samuel Mwanguzi once again, and this is a great question, and it is overarching in its format because it touches at all aspects of UNAA, and it is at the core of the organization. The culture of constitutionalism has been one of those pain points in the association, in that most of the members, including some of the leaders, actually do not even know what is in the Constitution. When we started amending the 2010 Constitution, we randomly found out that not all members of UNAA had actually read that Constitution. Even some of the former leaders and the leaders at the time had not read the Constitution. That goes without saying that if you have not read the Constitution, how then can they follow it? So the culture of constitutionalism is one of those things that are lacking in UNAA, that we have put mechanisms to make sure that it evolves. It will not happen at once. It will take some time, but people understand what the Constitution is, what it requires of them, their responsibilities to UNA and UNA's responsibilities to them. And we have developed a leadership code of conduct which the leaders will abide with. We have developed a membership code of conduct which sets out guidelines that members of UNA can follow and which UNA should also follow. Although we hope to develop this culture of constitutionalism, and we have also formed the Constitutional Affairs Committee in our Article committees, which after this constitution has been ratified and members of the Constitutional Affairs Committee appointed and approved, they'll go on a training and education program for all the members, all the leaders of India, all the members, so that they understand what the Constitution is, the provisions, the details. And what we have done with this new Constitution is that is a core document, which is the Constitution with 16 articles, and then the bylaws. The bylaws are those documents or those documents with guidelines that help in the implementation of the Constitution on a day-to-day basis. This Constitutional Affairs Committee will set out ways on how the Constitution can be amended. It also sets out mechanisms on how the bylaws can be amended. And in case of any frictions between the leadership organs and the membership, we have set out mechanisms that can help Constitution resolve any differences. One most important thing that we have created in this document is that we have ensured an invisible hand of collaboration and communication that will be going through all the leadership organs, and it was made such that it is not only going to be overt, but it will be covert, and it will be infectious. We are making sure all organs talk to each other, that members talk to the organs, that leaders talk to leaders, and that most of what is done in UNA is done with mutual trust, with mutuality, and it is done in such a way that there is so much transparency that all these suspicions that are better on the association will be greatly minimized. And with that foundation, we hope that the culture of constitutionalism will evolve, survive, and thrive in the association. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, I'll follow up with this question to the chairman. Engineer Nicholas?
Yes.
So, with that said by the secretary, what mechanism have you also put in the new constitution that will prevent the reported rampant misuse of embezzlement of UNA funds, as you may know, as we have gone through all this?
Right. So the Constitution, there's one thing is the Constitution, and the Constitution will set guidelines. And then the other thing is the membership. The membership also have a role to play. And so for us, what we have done in this constitutional proposal is to put guidelines on the transparency of the accounting system. Okay. And we want to make sure that that the leaders produce reports and statements. And by the way, that is also part of the 2010 Constitution. It's just that we've gone to extra mile to make sure that the reporting is done who should be doing the reporting and to whom they should be reporting and the consequences of not reporting. So all those are there. They are not only, they are part of the constitution and they're also part of the bylaws. And in the bylaws, we even define what the date should be. We give guidelines on, hey, you can, this is what we should do. In order for things to run well, please present this kind of financial statements and reports to the UNAA Council and then or to the BOT. All those are there. So what we really want is for the leadership to be open with our finances, because we know that if there is scrutiny and the accountability, then people will be better custodians than if things are just done and known by only one or two individuals. So we want our accounting, much as we know that it has to be confidential and should not be, but we also want to know that the leaders who have a need to know get to know, and in a timely manner, what our accounting or our accounts are like. And then the other thing that we have done is to make sure that the leaders also are accountable to the membership. And so we need the leadership, especially the treasurer, to make sure that they have the reporting ready, reports ready at the AGM and other membership meetings where they have to account on what they have, what UNAA's position is. And we encourage them to report whether it's a good position or not. And then we have also gone to the extent of suggesting how the reporting should be done. We have been having, those of you who have been attending some of the annual general meetings, you will always find that the treasurer rarely completes their report, because many members always come up and say, hey, but this is not clear. You've left out this. This is not done properly. And we've had successive meetings whereby the issue of what is reported and how things are reported has always fallen short. So we've gone ahead and we said, okay, this is what we expect. This is the minimum expectation and of what you should be doing, so that members can be abreast with the finances. And the problem is, it might not even be so much that there is rampant abuse or anything like that. I think it's more the fact that people are in the dark. And when people are in the dark of what is happening, then these conspiracy theories abound and they come about. So if we have a more open process whereby the leadership is more accountable, is more forthcoming, and is more open with the finances, then some of these conspiracy theories will go away. And that's so. But we are trying as much as possible to put in those guardrails, and we have also tried as much as possible to make sure that the leaders are accountable. Now it is up to the members. Remember, it is not just rules. These are just guidelines. The members themselves, you have a right and a duty to hold the leaders accountable, so that when we are at a meeting, you don't just, you have to ask the tough questions. You have to make sure that what is in the constitution or what is in the bylaws is followed. But if you don't do that, then whatever we are doing is really a wastage of time. But at least we have tried. Thank you very much, Joshua.
Owuliriza Radio Uganda. Boston.
Yes, abawuliza baffe mwenna abawulira Uganda Boston tuli wano ku UNAA Constitutional Review Committee ngetuwulira engeri gyeyiseemu okukola reviews eza constitution ya UNAA empya ate era tulabe at this time we are opening the phones. You can call through 781 314-6944, 781-314-6944. Dr. Michael Chisembo, how do you come into this constitutional review as a former BOT?
How do I come in?
Yes.
I'm very much interested in the constitutional review. Because as a former VOT, what they are saying, it has been almost a culture of especially the leadership. And I want to put my emphasis, not the council really, but especially the executive. They have been floating all these rules. I remember when I was a BOT in charge with the finances, it was very difficult for us to cause the audit of the financials until we put down our feet down, and then we came out with a report. And I really thank I think it was Engineer Nicholas was by then the chairman of the council. He gave us a very big, as a VOT, he gave us a very, very good support. But as long as the VOT, as the executive does not respect the rules or the constitution, we're going to have a continuous problem. Because they are supposed to implement what has been passed by the council. They are supposed to implement what has been suggested by the VOT. And once the council clears it up, then what they have to do is to implement. But these guys, they don't implement. They just go around and ignore. So my question has been to the chairman of this review, and the vice chairperson is here.
Can someone mute? I know someone is doing something. Can you mute, please?
Those things can be there, but how can it be implemented? I'm glad that Engineer Nicholas mentioned that most of the reports, me I'm a finance guy, most of the reports, especially the finances, which I'm more interested in, the report has been falling extremely very short and below the minimum standards. But at the moment the members question that, the executive gets annoyed. So we need to get somehow a mechanism. I don't know whether vice chairperson, if you're putting that mechanism of forcing them to do the right thing. And that's what is my interest, because UNAA is bigger than individual. They have just to follow what the constitution says, and have to follow what us the members wants to be done.
Yes.
But there is just a problem. How do we force them to implement it? And that's the culture.
And that's so Tendo, maybe you can answer that question. Through the constitutional review, have you put that mechanism whereby the executive has to make sure that they follow through?
Yeah, and that culture of constitutionalism is what we're trying to promote, and the frameworks that we have for this particular issue of non-compliance regarding reports. We have put together a leadership code of conduct that looks at these leaders of the organization and holds them accountable to producing these necessary instruments that allow the organization to move on. Some of them are statutory, laws, where we are required to report. Some of them, as you know, Dr. Chisembo, there was a point where we were not able to, to register, with our taxes and things like that. So we wanted to address those pain points, and we have addressed those pain points. Once this constitution is passed, you will see that, with these amendments, the proposals are passed. are voted upon by membership, you will see changes that, and you can go to the sites and read some of these changes. And I'll let the chairman and the secretary speak to that as well.
Okay, so there's a question here with that, Tendo. There's a question here that says that was the I don't know, I'm not sure how it is, but it says you spent 3 years. It is to you, Tendo. You spent 3 years with the colleagues trying to amend the constitution. How did you feel when the AGM flopped, where those amendments were supposed to be passed? That was, I think, last year.
Huh. It was disappointing because, look, we had all these doctors and and very, very busy people within our communities who spent all their Sundays working very hard to get this organization. Any other organization in this country would have loved to have that panel of professional people working on their issues, but they decided to work with us, and we have some children who were born during this constitution review process. So it felt like a bad blow, but I'm always reminded by the chairman, who is very tempered in his responses, that these things could happen. We just have to find ways of, and I'm always reminded by a great Ugandan, Kabwejere, when he came to visit us here in the US. He said that if you see something wrong within the African community, you yourself have to go and do something about it. And we are here to talk about this because we wanted to do something about it, so that we are not caught unawares as we were during that flop. By the way, and I think it flopped a little bit because we did not advertise it enough. So I bring the backstops on us as the CRC. We have to go out there and tell our people that, look, this is a constitution. It is innocuous. It does not knock the executive. It does not do. It's just getting something that was there in 2010, which was good.
Making it better.
Making it better.
Okay.
Good to great. And that's the. And I don't know if the chairman and Dr. Wangs want
And the
to
chair.
speak to
So
that.
Geoffrey.
Yeah.
Geoffrey, just a quick addition. One, yes, it felt terrible, heart-wrenching and everything, but at the same time, we also have to understand the context under which it flopped. Many AGMs in the UNAA have actually been flopping.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately, we have to get an AGM that will not flop in order for this constitution to pass. So,
exactly.
Yes, we are not taking this personally, but we are also trying to make sure, like the vice chair has said, we want to advertise more and want to engage with the communities more, so that people will come out of the woods and determine what to do with these documents, either they vote for it or they drop it. But we are proud of what we have done, and we actually just requesting members to go through the constitution and engage us if they need any clarification. If there's something they don't like, let us know. But at this stage, I think let them engage us so that we can explain what is going on. And we appreciate the fact that Geoffrey and the Radio Uganda Boston have taken this initiative to interview us so that we can enlighten our membership on what is in there. But yes, we took it. It was tough, but we are back, and we'll do our best to make sure that we are all together.
Thank you, Chairman, Engineer Nicholas. As I'll follow up with that, but our listeners, our number, you can call in, you can ask your question in any language. We have different people who can speak different languages. We can always interpret. 781-31469. 44. Just to add on that, Chairman, or maybe the Secretary, let me bring it to the Secretary. How, during this Constitution review, how have you put in something that will entice people to register and be members of UNA? Because as you may know, we have the convention, and the convention people come in, mostly some people come in to have a good time, meet other people, and some people come in to, to have the forums and all that. But how are we going to be, did you put in something just to entice the people to make sure that they become members and to attend that AGM? Because most of the time the AGM flops, like the chairman says. Secretary, can you answer to that?
Yes, thank you so much, Jeffrey. Like I said, the most of what we've done in this institution is actually closely related. That if you read the institution from Article 1 on objectives through Article 16 of the serious provisions, you have to realize that we are recommending procedures and processes that are designed to encouraging membership into the association. The chair talked about communities and affiliates. Previously, this recognition was absent in UNA. It was only mentioned in one article of the Constitution that we will have chapters, that they were never defined. They didn't say what the chapters were, who were members of the chapters, and they even didn't talk about affiliations. But we have given it, chapters and affiliates, a complete article in the Constitution, how to become part of UNA, and also how to benefit from UNA programs. Okay. UNA has 3 programs: the Community Development Program, then it has the Community Agency Fund, and then the Community Life Insurance and Protection Schemes. And these are all programs that can encourage members. For example, take the humorous one on history. Everybody, each of us would like to be repatriated home. If it's our lives. And UNA came up with this program, and we encourage the leadership and those who follow the program, bring it to the mainstream of the Constitution so that it benefits everybody who is a member of UNA. And it has already taken off. Some people have already benefiting from it, although they are already dead. That they are taking their rights from, running up and down, looking for money to return their remains. That is something that is going to connect UNA to the communities. That is a big one. Then Community Emergency Fund. UNA can generate money that will help members in the communities when faced with, disasters, to come in and make some modest contribution to alleviate some of those problems. And even when you look at the membership code of conduct, when you become a member of UNA, you become part of UNA. And we have put in place an UNA Awards Committee. And this committee is not going to be awarding people randomly, as I've been saying before. Everybody who is engaged in voluntary service, who has a strong case, this committee will look at it and award those members, encourage them to continue doing volunteer work. These are things that connect associations to communities. And this is what we are recommending in these new amendments.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for that, for that clarification and explanation about that question. Um, I should go back to the chairman, and maybe the vice can elaborate more on this. I know you've put up these bullet kind of points that will be going through, will be saturated around, the proposals and what is supposed to be amended. For example, we have Article 3.5, member in good standing, remove certification by the president. You know, those things, points. How are we going to? Can you hold on that thought? Let me get this one. Hello, Radio Uganda Boston. Hello.
Yes, hello. My name is Stephen Osito, and I'm currently harboring ambitions to run as president.
Oh,
Within the interest of time, I have like two questions, which
Okay.
are going to be so precise.
Okay. To who?
First, to the CRC.
Okay.
Yeah, first is going to be, it has been 3 years working on this document, working on the amendment, which is really a long time. I suppose 3 years, that should mean 3 AGMs that we would have had, right?
Yep.
But then, who should we hold accountable, or who should we blame for the failure to have the AGM that would have discussed or passed the constitution amendment? And secondly, what measures have we put in place to see that in the future we are able to have the AGM quorum, to have the constitution amendments discussed or even passed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and good luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. So, moderator Geoffrey, let me take the stab
Okay.
on this one.
Yes.
Right, and thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much for. I've seen your engagements and your views, and I appreciate the fact that you are even on this call. So we really appreciate that kind of feedback. Now, on whom to blame for the AGM not taking place? Honestly, I think that blame should go to all of us. we are members of UNAA.
All members of UNAA, right?
Yeah. We should be taking the blame because this is a free organization. It's a membership-driven organization. If the BOT has called for a meeting of members, the best you can do is at least attend, even if you don't participate in the meeting. But at least if you are available, you can attend. There are about 2,000 Ugandans every time you are having a UNA convention.
Yes.
Now, in that locality, wherever it might be. Now, how you fail to get even 100 of them to get in the room has always beaten me. And to be honest with you, they're in the corridors. It's not that they're in the corridors, they're in the bar, but they just don't feel that it is important enough for them to come into the AGM for the AGM. So that I should put that squarely on the membership. They have to take ownership of the organization. They have to be engaged, and they should not really. Why should you complain if things go wrong when you are not even there to put things right? So let's learn from the country that we are in. People are very vigilant. People are at the forefront to make sure that their rights are not trampled on. So that is that. Now, the measures we have put in place, right now there is a quorum requirement of 40% of the membership.
Good.
So in the constitution, we have actually now come up and said, okay, 40% is really, really difficult, even on a good day, because of our Ugandan, the habits that we have of not going for the meetings. we have reduced the quorum to 10% for the AGM. And we have also said that if you do not attain that 10% at the first call, we reduce the requirement even further for that very weekend, because we meet that Labor Day weekend, but we've reduced it to a smaller percentage so that at least members who are interested in running and getting things done for the organization will have the chance to have a quorum. So we have put that in place, and some of the requirements are in the bylaws. And by the way, the bylaws can be changed a lot more easily. But we have at least said, okay, let's start with a high bar, and then we reduce the bar during the course of the weekend. And that, so that hopefully at the end of the day, we can have a legal membership meeting before members go back after the convention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman. You've really answered that pretty good. So maybe just to follow up on that. So the percentage was 40% prior in the old constitution. So you're suggesting it should be 10%, and if you don't get the 10%, then you go down to some percentage. Which one? Which is which?
I think it was 5%.
5%. Okay,
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Probably that will work out. So, for the members to, I know some of these questions, but for the members to register and be members, they pay a certain fee. How are you in the constitution review? How have you enticed them to make sure that they pay that membership, so that they can be, UNAA members who can vote on different stuff? Tendo, you can answer this, so that they can be, because if you have few members that have registered and they don't show up, and then there are so many members that are there that have not registered, but they could come and make the noise. So how have you amended that? Yes.
Well, yeah, and there's some things that would fall on the political side.
Mm-hmm.
For incentives, for instance, as the chairman talked about, making sure that people can come to the AGM. There are some incentives that can be put together by the executive. Maybe a free breakfast, maybe something like that to entice people to come to the AGM.
Yeah.
And so, even for membership, it seems as though there are some students who might not afford the amount of money that is being asked, but these are all incentives that a conversation that can be had with the executive to make sure that we get a healthy membership. But look, I think it was Dr. Mwangi who talked about the repatriation, insurance, and which is an incredible thing. Paying $120 and being able to get $20,000 if you die or a family member dies within North America is an incredible incentive that one would be willing to pay $50 for. Even if you paid $100, getting that benefit alone is incredible. And I just realized for the first time during COVID that we have a very poor community, because 10 of our members dying very quickly exposed us, even though we were able to return them home. But you realize that we have been exposed. We're not such a rich community. And so these incentives and being a member of UNAA can buy you that. What makes a difference is that we had tried this. Many organizations have tried this in the past. But what makes a difference is the way we have, I have to tell you that the president and Georgina put this together. You have to give credit to them, Georgina and Henrietta, who put this together, the UNAA
repatriation insurance. I think they did a great job, and I think it's something that we should really be proud that they worked on, and we we should pass it with this constitution. I hope the president is listening.
Okay, okay, doctor.
Ms. Moderator, I have a problem with
Yes.
percentage-wise.
Yes.
Now, I think the chairperson and you guys who review the constitution, you are saying that you reduce the percentage, the quorum from 40% to 10%. That itself to me is a taboo. Because, let me see, in the last meeting, the convention we had.
Hold your thought, doctor. There's a phone call here. Hello, Radio Ghana Boston. Hello.
Yes, hello. Why don't I wait for Mr. Attendo to finish and then I'll speak? This is Moses Yetton, past president of UNAA.
Okay.
Okay, let me finish up. Now, what is the taboo is like this. For example, in the last convention, when I looked into the list of people who are paid members, they were close to 110. Now, if you bring back to the GM quorum from 40 to 10, that means around maybe 11 people. Now, and the further you are saying that you're going to bring it down, if needed, to 5%.
Dr. Michael, can you hold your thought?
Okay.
Chairman, please, you go ahead because there are some other people who are going to be calling in. Please.
Okay, so yeah, and good question, Michael, Professor Kisembo.
But
there is a meaning.
I had not finished that.
Wait.
Oh,
what
I
the
see,
question
okay.
is?
Yeah, I had not finished. Let me finish my thought. Now, when you bring back from 10, from 11, then you say 5% of 100. Then you are bringing back to 6%. To 6 participants.
Yes.
That means any decision taken which is going to be legal binding is for the minority, a closest minority, who are going to pass all those binding
amendments.
No, I'm talking about the whole world.
Yes.
The whole
Constitution.
The usual annual general meeting.
Yes.
It could be a constitution, it could not be a constitution.
Yes.
It doesn't matter really. Because I think the constitution, we shall try as much as possible to bring people to pass the constitution.
Yes.
But if it's going through the constitution, say only 5%, minimum 5%, then you have 6 people who are going to decide for the minority. And we would have a problem already. We have a problem that UNA is not for the whole people. Because that's a perception. It may not be right, but that's a perception people have. And there's a disconnect from UNA executive and UNA organs to the local people. And that's why people are not coming into that. I'm not saying that you go bad, but I have been in the system. And that's a big problem. People have. I'm glad that you, in your the constant review, you are trying to bring people down so that people feel it's their own organization. At the moment, people feel that UNA is not their own organization. It's just there's a disconnect of that. Then we need to work on that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay,
So,
Chairman.
Yes, and thank you, Michael, for bringing that up. Now, maybe I wasn't very clear. There is a minimum number required. You cannot go below a certain number, whether it is 1% or whatever, because we realize that, yes, in an off-election year, you might have only 100 members, and when you talk of 10%, you are really talking of 10 people. What we are saying is that there has to be either 40 people or the percentage, whichever is more.
Okay.
If you are 100, then and 10% of 100 is actually 10. It means that you are still required to be 40 in the room.
Okay, Chairman. Thank you. Chairman Wilson on the phone. Can you go ahead with your question, please?
Yes, actually, I'm a past president of UNAA, not a chairman. Although have been the chairman of the Rules and Disciplinary Committee. I'm going to start by registering my outrage at the situation of rampant embezzlement in UNAA. That is, it may have happened in the past, and I'll accept it, but it is brought up at this particular time. It stands to some, for those who are tuning for the first time, it's going to make them believe that the current administration by Henrietta is embezzling from the organization, which is not. There was embezzlement when I was on the BOT, and we found it, and the treasurer was stole about $26,000. So it did happen. But let us make sure that people understand that this is not a current issue. Second thing I have to object to is the election fraud. Again, there are people who will, if they lose, automatically they go with election fraud. That's what Donald Trump is doing right now. That's just happened. So let's not throw gasoline on the fire and say that there's ongoing election fraud in UNAA. That's not happening. Three, being a past president of UNAA, I'm very familiar with this process of the AGM. Now, I happen to be coming from the position of the executive, having been the president of the executive at some point. And what I have noticed within the process of constitutional review and the discussion right now is an anti-executive sentiment. The executive does this. The executive does this. The executive doesn't listen. The executive doesn't do this. Now let us also remember. Now let us think about this moment. Of the problems that we have had in UNAA in the last 10 years, which bodies have had the most issues? Has it been the executive? Has it been the BOT? Has it been the council? Let's start with the BOT. The Constitution right now says that the chairman of the BOT will be chairman for 1 year. They'll be on the BOT for 3 years, but they can only be chairman for 1 year. When have we ever had a BOT where the chairman was on for just 1 year? It doesn't happen. The current BOT that just went out, the chairman was chairman for 3 years. The Constitution is very clear. The Constitution is very clear. You are on the BOT for 3 years. The current BOT was 3 years and what, 3 months, 4 months? One of the reasons why we did not have an AGM this year, and I, being chairman of the RDC, wanted to be there, but I didn't. And I boycotted that on purpose because we had no BOT. So whoever was standing up front to lead the AGM was illegitimate. Simple as that. And because it was illegitimate, I did not even waste my time. I have attended every other AGM where I had something to say, but in this particular one, it was a no-starter. So when we have instances like this where the BOT itself is acting illegitimately, well, people who know the Constitution are going to say, to heck with this. It's just not going to happen. Now, let us also go back to the issues of the council. Pretty much from the time the council was first brought up and it started acting as a council, there has been infighting in the council. It is more like Republicans and Democrats, and one trying to be bigger than the other, one trying to rule. Just in the time that I have been a part of this process, we had a UNAA council that boycotted, half of whom boycotted the legitimate UNAA convention. Boycotted it. Not only they boycotted, they went next door and participated in an illegitimate anti-UNAA convention. Right? How do you then respect a council who half of them became anti-UNAA participants? Now let us closer to today.
Can you finish up? Summarize, because we have some other people who are calling in. Go ahead.
All right. So when you have this anti-executive sentiment, then you're going to lose a lot of people, and it's going to make this entire process of the CRC process difficult to put through because you do not have the executive behind you. The other two final things. The CRC is trying to do too many things at once. Even I, as a past president, who have tried to read these changes, I can't get through all of them. You've got to find a few that actually need to get done right now and try to push those at the time now. The reality is what? The 20, 30 people showed up at the AGM. There's a reason why. And when we have fewer people showing up at every AGM, that's exactly it. You're asking too much of us. Look at what you can do to make an AGM happen. And finally, oh, well, you know what? You're right. You have too many people calling in. I've got a list of about 5, 6 things that I wanted to bring up, but I will not bring that up. What I will conclude is the CRC is trying to do too much, too big of a bite of this apple at one go. I have recommended ways in which we might be able to get this done this past year. It fell on deaf ears, and maybe I was just talking to the wrong people. But there are ways to get this done, and we just need to think about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That was former President Wilson giving us, and I think you had, I don't know if the chairman, you have anything to say about that, but I know in the, the articles that you've sent out, I see that number 5 says Article 5, Board of Trustees, members of the BOT to be elected in the UNAA Council following a process defined in Article 9.4. So, which means I think as a review of the other, as you put in your review and you put in your proposals, these things I think you've seen through, according to what I'm reading. Chairman, can you go to that?
Right. So, yes, and it's good we're having this conversation. And I really appreciate the contribution and feedback from President Moses Wilson, who has been a very supportive member and who has helped the CRC to come to some of the conclusions that we have come to, and kind of bewildered at this sentiment that the CRC is anti-executive. I've been seeing some of that going on social media, and somehow it was very difficult to comprehend because the CRC cannot be anti-executive. We have been working with members of the executive to come up with this document or these documents. We have had leadership meetings whereby, in fact, some of those leadership meetings is not only a part of, it's not only the executive and the UNAA Council and others who have been attending, they are included even committees, and of which Moses Wilson is the chair of one of the committees. And for us to even present to the membership in Cincinnati, we had to get the blessing of all the leadership, and that was the BOT, that was the UNAA Council, and that was and then the Electoral Commission, the disciplinary committee of which Moses Wilson, President Moses Wilson is the chair. All of them, they all voted that yes, let's go ahead and present these proposals to the AGM. And according to the Massachusetts law, we had to do that. We had to present to the AGM before the final vote. And at that time, that AGM happened in Cincinnati because we were hoping to pass this in San Francisco. So as far as we are concerned, we were working together lockstep as leadership. So I don't know where this concept and the sentiment is coming from that we are anti-executive. We are not. We have been working together with the executive. The president of UNAA has never called and said, hey, you guys are doing things I don't like. She's the president. She could have done that. She has her members of the executive who have been well represented on the CRC. They haven't. They have voted with us. With everybody.
Okay, Chairman.
So honestly, yeah. So let me summarize. Let me summarize. We are not anti-executive. Now, maybe there is some rethinking of what happened, but I think this would be a wrong way to put it and say we are anti-executive. Now, the other one, before we go, is the perception that when we talk of rampant misuse of funds, that we are actually talking about the administration of Henrietta Nairuba Wamala. No, we are not. I think this was just a perception. Maybe it was a wrong choice of words, but this has been just a perception within the community that UNA leaders or misuse funds. And we are not in any way pinpointing and saying this is this administration. Actually, we are not interested in the past.
Yeah.
We are using the past to help us focus on the future. And in the future, we are saying, let's do this so that those perceptions are dispelled. So we are not, and I don't think I will say, and let me say this, we were not thinking of the current administration, we are thinking of the future.
That's my thought. But before you go, Mr. Tendo. Hello, Radio Ghana Boston. Hello. Thank you for waiting.
Hello, this is Henrietta Nairuba Wamala, the current UNA president.
Okay, thank you for calling in.
Good evening to everyone that's listening, and good evening to you, Mr. Kawesa.
Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too for tomorrow, and a happy Thanksgiving to all our listeners in the United States and beyond.
Yeah, you can go in with your question.
Actually, mine is not a question per se, but I would like to just give some remarks. First of all, I would like to thank the CRC chairman for the initiative that they took to try and sensitize and sensitize, educate, bring awareness to members by having this talk. I would like to see that the BOT is quickly put in place by the council, because this group, the Constitutional Review Committee, works at the leisure of the BOT. So the BOT should actually be empowering them to make sure that these talks are put out there for members as often as possible. And I've communicated to the chairman to tell him that we are working with the council to make sure that that happens. As you have seen in the past, we had to call back a BOT to kind of come and safeguard the institution while we were waiting for people to get to the 5-year mark as per the 2010 current governing constitution to have members that would qualify to be members on a BOT, which we now have, and we were able to send those names to the council to make sure that we have a functional BOT. So I would like to thank the CRC that they are doing this, and let us not belittle the time they have put in to have these amendments done. It's been 3 years. I think they started working on these things even before I came in as a leader. It started from the previous administration, the Atiga administration, and I found them working on the amendments, and they've been working on these. And it's a pity that members have failed to come and attend the AGM to make sure that these amendments are discussed, are debated upon, and actually make it on a ballot to be voted on. Whether you want them or whether you don't want them, we still have to have that process done. So maybe this is the time I call upon members and ask you to get more involved in your organization. This is not an organization of Henrietta. It's not an organization of Lampert Etibot. It's not an organization of a single individual. This is a membership organization, meaning we all have to come in together and do our due diligence. You're not going to come and complain when something goes wrong and you have not been part of the discussion. You have to make sure that you do your part as a member. You have to make sure that you come and sit in those AGMs. You have to come and listen to the CRC. Give you whatsoever they have come up with as an amendment to the current constitution, whatever article it is. And if you feel that it is something that should not be passed by the majority of members, air out your grievances. Tell them why you feel that shouldn't be discussed or shouldn't be put on the ballot. But at the end of the day, if you are not part of this process and you sit in your homes, on your computers, on your WhatsApp chats, and you make your comments, you belittle whoever it is that is putting in the hard work, and you think that people are going to be taking your comments out there as that's it, you're lying to yourselves. as members of UNA. As I said, it is a membership organization. You have to be a member of UNA to matter and have your say heard in UNA. Being someone who just attends the convention will not grant you that right. Be active, pay your membership, be involved if you want something to be seriously taken from you. And then I also want to caution, I know that I actually heard what Mr. Wilson said, and there are a couple of some of the sentiments that he said that I believe would also be something I would have put out there. But I also want to clarify one thing. We as executive have actually been working with the CRC. If they need something from us, if they need a meeting, if they want something to be clarified, they reach out to us. We have been working well with them. I don't think the CRC is working against us. Maybe there are some individuals who would like that to happen or who have been working as invisible hands out there to try and create that perception. But sincerely speaking, I've worked well with Chairman Wako. Well, we've had conversations with him even when we were at an impasse where we didn't have a BOT majority having been approved by the council. I consulted with him as a CRC chairman and said, look here, we are at an impasse. This is what we have. What do you think? And I listened to what he had to tell us. We went back as executive, and as we are the executive of the institution, we had to make sure we protected the entity, and we had to recall the previous BOT to come and work on interim until September 30th. And when that date really came, we thanked them for their service. We had new names given to the council, so that happened. Now, is there a place in the current Constitution 2010 that allows us to do that? No. But as an executive officer of any nonprofit, of any business, you have to sometimes take those hard decisions. And that is what we did. And we did that because we knew that without a BOT, the CRC wouldn't even have been able to stand in front of members to present to them. We had to have someone there to run the AGM, and we called the old BOT. So whatever that perception is, please, members, take it from the horse's mouth. We work well with the CRC. No one is at loggerhead. I know Abana Uganda mwagala ebyonone say you would like to see people fighting and so on and so forth. We are not here to do that. As I promised you guys, we wanted to make sure that there was peace in UNA, and thank God we have tried to stay the course for at least the past 3 years, and would like the fourth year to be the same. Then the other thing that actually I had, and I would like to maybe point out to Mr. Chisembo, there is the wrong choice of words you've been using, that we would like to force them to do something. We are volunteers serving the membership. No one can force anyone to do anything that is voluntarily serving you in a non-profit. So those are wrong choice of words in this discussion, and I hope Mr. Chisembo can take that out of good faith. No one is here to do any job, to force anyone to do anything. I don't force my executive to do anything. I don't force the council to do anything, and they don't force me, because I know why I'm serving. I serve the membership, and I do it out of the good heart I have for the organization. And I believe that is what each and every member that's serving UNA should bring on the table when they are coming to serve. No one is here to force anyone to do anything. The guiding document, the Constitution, guides us, and we are supposed to follow it. Ethically, that's what we are supposed to do. Okay. But we are not supposed to force anyone to do anything as a volunteer in any non-profit. Thank you so much, Mr. Kawesa, and may you all have a blessed Thanksgiving and have a blessed evening as well.
Thank you, President UNA, and we wish you the same. Thank you. And I know Dr. Chisembo used those words, but they didn't mean that, because I know this.
I didn't mean, Mr. President, I didn't mean to force you to do that. I know you. I worked with you for some time. I know how good you are, and I know how good fight you are.
Oh, okay. Last phone call. Hello, Radio Uganda, Boston.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Kawesa.
Good evening.
And this is Patrick Ogwang from Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
Former Director of Development, UNAA. And yeah, I listened to the program and very good job on the presentation there. And it's a much needed discussion. I want to thank Tendo, Professor Mwanguzi, and Nicholas Waku on your presentation. This has been very good.
Yep.
And I also wanted to also highlight a little bit, talk a little bit about what Moses Wilson mentioned there about an anti-executive sentiment. I think that is not appropriate. I would ask him to retract that because the president has made it very clear that the CRC is working hand in hand with the executive, which is a good thing, and that's what we need.
Exactly.
Mr. Moses Wilson, as a leader, should retract that statement. Now, as I look at the bullet points that you have presented out, something, the elephant in the room is missing. It seems like there's a whole elephant in the room there that is not talked about, and maybe you can help kind of talk about it. One thing is that we have a crisis. We have a crisis of actually a conflict of interest situation where we have a current secretary of the organization still in charge of course, keeping the records of the association, and is in charge of membership drive, and is in a position now to declare their candidacy to run for office. I think that's a conflict of interest situation because the member is privy to information that the rest of the candidates that intend to run for office are not. I don't know what we've done in the new constitution to address that issue. That issue has been consistent and has gone on in the organization for a very, very long time. Then the other question I have, actually the other point of clarity, I want the chairman, Nicholas Waku, or anybody on the CRC, to review the article on quorum, to really review it about that 40%. My interpretation of that is 40% of the members duly present at the AGM. And I might be wrong, but I've read it about 10 times, and that's what it seems to imply, which would mean that at any AGM that we have, we should have quorum. I yield over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't know. Now, that was the last question as time has run out for us as we go to our last, as we finish up, as we wind up this discussion, this beautiful discussion about the Constitution of UNAA. Thank you all for the contributions that you've done, for all of you that called in and your questions. Chairman, could you just answer to Mr. Ogwang? Patrick, right?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Geoffrey. And Mr. Moderator, Geoffrey Kawesa, before I respond to Patrick's question, I would like to really thank the President of UNAA for her leadership, for coming out to clarify the situation. Because, and I also thank Moses Wilson for bringing it up, because there's been that kind of talk going on in the chat rooms and all that, and it has been bewildering.
Chairman,
yeah.
Let me. Oh, he went off because this person who has been calling had given him a chance or her chance, but let's go. Go ahead.
Right. So I'm very thankful. First of all, Moses Wilson for bringing it up, because it's better for things to come out in the open, and then also for the president who came out in a very forceful manner to dispel those rumors and those conspiracies, and I'm hoping that those perceptions will die as they should. Now, the issue of conflict of interest. We looked at that. We had discussions with the leadership and the others that we were privileged to meet. And so what we are proposing, or what is being proposed, is that there is going to be a very strong demarcation between the voters register. Because I think what really Patrick is really concerned about is the credibility and the safety of the voters register. Because that is the one that we know members were feeling that maybe the secretary being privy to it would give them an advantage. So what we are proposing is that the Electoral Commission is going to be in charge of its voters register. So what is happening in with the 2010 Constitution, the secretary, the executive secretary would present a list of members to the Electoral Commission. And then that would be the list that they would use. But what we are saying is that no, let the Electoral Commission be proactive from day one, building that voters register. That means that they have access to the membership database and they pick the voters register, the paid up members from there, and then they start displaying that voters register at the predefined intervals so that members who have paid membership can be alerted ahead of time. In other words, the executive secretary will still be in charge of the membership list, and they will not be in charge of the voters register. The voters register will be compiled independently by the Electoral Commission. So that way, the Electoral Commission does its work, the executive will do also its work. Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me a little bit.
No. The young ones are giving him a run for his, so, anyways, are you coming back?
Yeah, as he comes back, I'd like to also thank Madam President for coming out and talking about that. And it's not our view at all, and it's not the CRC, say that the president, there is some embezzlement of funds within the current administration. I think Henrietta's administration has been a wonderful administration and continues to do well. We have not seen any embezzlement of funds, and it's not the CRC's position to say that. We are trying to walk a very fine line that allows us to talk about legal matters of the organization and deliberate about them without prejudice, without alarming anybody. So it is so important for all our members to make sure that we are not involved in some of the wrangles of the organization. We want to stay above that forum, and that's what we have been doing all along with all our executive, with all the CRC members. But I don't know if Mr. Chairman is back to continue.
Right. So
there was a question from another question from Patrick regarding the quorum.
Right.
Do you want me to add on something to that?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Coates, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members and listeners. So, to Patrick's question on the quorum, and I've had this question from another UNA member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you hear me? This is Albert Bakasara, the member of the CRS.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the question Patrick asked, I've also heard it from another UNA member who inquired about it. It is true that you can interpret the Constitution to say that it's only members who are present. But we've never really, as UNA, we've never had that notice go out clarifying that that's who we intended to be the quorum, or the quorum. So the way these things are interpreted is if something is not clear, then those who interpret or the courts of laws will look at your past practices. And our past practice as UNA has been that we send out an invitation to the AGM to all members in good standing, meaning those who have paid membership fees. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. We can't say that we've invited 400 members to the AGM and then all of a sudden say, oh, no, we only interpret it for the 100 people who are in the room. So that's my interpretation, and I think it is actually the correct legal binding interpretation, that we cannot kind of have our cake and eat it too. So we will have, and as the chairman has already expressed, we will have to reduce that quorum. But more to that, and I think Dr. Kisembo mentioned this, more to that, and the president also mentioned this, this is a community organization. We cannot, or we shouldn't be just catering for the people who don't care about the affairs of the organization. If we are 400 of us and 40 members, which is the 10%, are going to decide, so be it. Those are the 40 members who are interested. If you want to sleep and go party and you don't care about what goes on in the union, then that's up to you. So we cannot really have the organization tied up for years and years and years without an AGM. That is wrong. We have to do something. And that's something that we have proposed, is to reduce the quorum requirement so we can fulfill the legal requirements of Massachusetts, which is the Commonwealth where we are registered as UNA. The only other thing that I may request my chairman to address before we leave is that out there is a perception that maybe somehow we took it upon ourselves to come on and start tinkering with UNA's constitution, that it was working perfectly and we're just messing with it. Whether we do this or we don't, there are still problems that prompted that BOT to put us in place. A very good, if I remember very well, and the chairman will add on, one of them was that we had a constitution that was contradictory on the youth representatives, where it said the youth could be of any age, but the voters for that position had to be under 30. That was there. Then there was another one that said that the president of the organization had to approve a member to become a member of UNA. That was a conflict. Okay, it left it in the hands of one person to approve any member to join UNA, and I don't think that was correct. So these are some of the things that prompted the BOT to constitute a CRC to look at. They are going to remain there. So okay. I'll stop there and you give the chair back the mic to conclude our session. But otherwise, thank you so much to you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you so much to the listeners out there.
Thank you so much. Chairman, you will finish all that in your final remarks. Right now, as we come towards the end for this beautiful session for the UNA Constitutional Review Committee, explaining to us why they did this and what they have done, and if you go for the AGM next year, what you should be voting for, or what you should suggest for them to add in, or probably not add in anymore, right, at the AGM, right? Or they can add in at that time and then it can be passed, right? Okay. My suggestion would be like, why wouldn't we, did you think about this as you conclude? Maybe Tendo, I'll start with you in your conclusion, in your final remarks. Did you think about getting people to register? Why wouldn't we put this registration fee on top of the, membership fee on top of the registration fee for the convention and maybe there will get more members, and you might find that you're going for the convention, but you're still a member and you've paid for the membership.
Yeah, I don't know.
As you
right.
do your
I don't know
remark,
when this was decoupled, but at the very beginning,
it
when
used to be that.
Yeah, it used to be there, but as people worked their ways, and sometimes things are political, and there's really no rhyme or reason, but to sort of isolate folks who are voting and so forth. But it would be great if we could continue with that original thought that if you paid your registration fee, you would also become a member. And maybe because we beefed up the registration fee, I'm not sure, but it would be great if we could do that again. And that way, if 2,000 people came to the convention
and they're all members,
then the likelihood
we'll get the
of
40%.
of getting 40% goes without saying.
Okay.
So very good observation, Geoffrey Kawesa. I'd like to thank you, for hosting us. And I've never come to these studios, Radio Uganda, Boston studios. I'm really impressed, and I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, can someone please, who's going down the stairs? All right.
That's okay.
You have been muted. To unmute yourself, press the star key twice.
Okay.
Mute off.
I wanted to say that our approach as the CRC, which we also recommend for the organization, is that, since we're all volunteers in this organization, we should not pass blame to anyone, but take an approach that says that where has the process failed, and then try to fix the process. Because once you start blaming people, they stand back and they take a stance that you probably might not get the best out of them. But I really have to live by saying I want to thank all those people who have been members of this organization, who have run this organization. It's a great organization. I truly believe in institutions, just like you see Harvard and all these institutions here in Boston. The longevity of the institution depends on membership participation and people holding it dear, so that with this longevity, that it continues to serve people properly, and we need constitutionalism, to adapt constitutionalism to make that happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your final remarks. Dr. Tsembo, could you do your final remarks?
My final thing is that I thank the Constitution Review Committee for having taken something 3 years. It's not easy to work for a non-profit organization, and you put all your effort, because despite the fact that you have other things to do. But again, now the question is this: once you decide to volunteer, you take a commitment, and you know why you are volunteering to, then you have and you should fulfill those commitments. There is no way you can allow the organization to be the members of the organization to be at ransom. No, because you are working, because you are volunteering. I volunteer in many organizations, but I take it upon myself that if I made a decision to volunteer, I have to deliver, I have to do what the organization requires me to do.
Your conduct.
Yeah, that has to be done. If I can't do it, then I don't join that organization. I don't volunteer to lead that organization. And that's ethical, that's a good conduct, a leadership conduct. But I thank you very much for the members who have kept all the organs of UNA. I know you have worked so hard. I know how when we were a member of VOT, we used to work overnight, late in the night. And I don't envy to be in that position again. But again, I thank the leadership for having been done, for having worked so tirelessly. And please, I'm always very critical. Don't take it so bad. But I will I tend to give what we call constructive engagement and constructive criticism, and I will not stop it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Former BOT, Dr. Michael Chisembo. Dr. Samuel Mwanguzi, Secretary, CRC.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Jeff Kawesa. I've been to Boston studios. Yeah. So I'm at home, although I'm online.
Yes, I know that.
And I want to thank you for hosting us and for the management there for actually taking up the request and following it through to its fruition. I want to thank the leadership of the CRC. I want to who are here, and of course the membership of the CRC. I pray the chair in his final remarks will mention those other colleagues of ours who are on the call that have not been able to say something. I want to wrap up and say that I've been the public facing sometimes of the CRC, interacting with the executive most of the time, especially the executive secretary, my friend and brother Ejazait Lambert Edbot. If there's anybody who has bothered him with calls and bothered him with calls, it is the two of us. And all of them have been so positive and thoughtful, uploading those documents, requesting them for Zoom meetings, doing this and that throughout the 3 years. Nothing has ever been turned down by the executive on our request. And for me, it was a shock, as the chair said, that members of the CRC were somewhat anti-executive. But I'm heartened by the public pronouncement by the president that we've been working very, very well together with her. And hopefully that message has been received loudly and clearly by whoever might have been propagating that type of division to create disharmony and torpedo this process that we have been on for the last 3 years. So on that note, I'm now going to sleep with my head high, very optimistic that next time Mr. Moses Wilson will not stand by the door of the AGM, stopping other people to come in, but he will be encouraging people to come in to vote for this constitution. Thank you, listeners. Thank you so very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. God bless you.
Thank you, Doctor. And then as we come, of course, the chairman, engineer Nicholas, as you come through, just my one suggestion for you to put into this review is, I don't know if you put it in, and it's not part of the, the bullets that you sent out, but I think for UNA should have, we should have, we should communicate to the community via the media, like the radio, like, different, medias, TV medias. We have so many of them coming through. I think we should have something there to advertise the UNA programs, because some people don't get to know, but they know all the things that happen, different things as you text messages, but I think we should have that culture of having maybe every 3 months, 4 months, you have a discussion on the radio, on a TV program, and then you come and discuss what UNA is doing. That is my suggestion from here, this is my suggestion that maybe we should have something in the Constitution about that. So over to you, Chairman, and then we'll... to wrap up.
Just give me a moment to recognize Alan Watson at Diaspora TV. I think he's also done a marvelous job in our community.
Yep.
And we appreciate what he's done for us. Thank you.
Chairman. Okay, Chairman. Nicholas, engineer.
Okay, thank you very much, Geoffrey, for moderating this session, and I also want to thank Alan Watson. I know you are working in the background to get a recording of everything that has transpired, and it's going to be out on Facebook and other media channels. We really appreciate everything that you have done. I think we've had a very, very productive evening. And, when we were discussing on, should we have it on the day before Thanksgiving or not, but then we said, okay, no, let's just go for it. And Tendo, I have to thank him for really being at the forefront of making sure that, he puts all the pieces together and all the ducks, and actually we have had a very, very good conversation. And this is something that we would love to have more frequently, and that is something that I believe we are going to have even more frequently and more forcefully. And so I really want to thank you. And now, Geoffrey, you said, well, maybe this should be in the Constitution, that we should be meeting and maybe involving the media. It does not have to be in the Constitution. I think what you really need now is to work with the executive, because they're the ones who really who run the show, the day-to-day affairs, and they can work with you, make sure that we engage our community.
They have to have a budget on that, so because if they don't have a budget, you're going to say, oh, where did you use this money?
Right, and the budget, the budget process is clear. I think all we have done is to lay a framework on how that can be done, and because we don't run UNA, but we're just giving guidelines on how UNA should be run, and now the organs will have to run with that to put that in place. But for us as a CRC, we worked amongst ourselves. By the way, this is all financed by CRC members to actually come to Radio Uganda Boston so that we can have this conversation. You've given us a great platform. I think we have had a fantastic exchange of ideas, and we are really, really appreciative, Geoffrey, for everything that you have done and for getting our message to, cut through. And there are many people who didn't know what was going on. There was a lot of misinformation and all that. And what we are now trying to do using your channel is to bring out what we've done and what we were doing and what we also intend to do. And I really, really appreciate that. Big thanks to the members of the CRC who managed to make it. I'm just going to, if you don't mind, Geoffrey, just allow them just to say a shout for a minute and introduce themselves before we wrap up. I'll start with and I'm going to go to only those, actually there are about two who haven't spoken, and that is Moses. Moses, would you like to say hi?
Yes, this is Moses Kamia. I am here in New York State, in Albany, and it's been a privilege to work with this team, dedicated professionals, spending all this time working on this, constitution for the benefit of the members. And thank you for hosting us today. We hope this will encourage people to come out, give us their feedback, but most importantly, vote on this new constitution. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
The next one is Fred, Mr. Fred Biabaje. Engineer Fred Biabaje.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the conversation. That was wonderful. I'm in Austin, Texas, and the CRC has been one of the best organizations most professional groups I've worked with, very professional people. And we forget all what was said. We don't favor, we are neutral, and we go forward, we go where the truth is. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Fred. And finally, Albert Bakasara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have already spoken when giving an answer to Patrick Obwango's question. But I do appreciate your leadership and echo the words of my colleagues. This has actually been a very good experience. And the only question I will have is that for people out there, we have put the proposed amendments out there. And if you don't have them or you want a copy, you can contact the chairman or any of the members of the CRC, and we will send a copy to you. Please read it for yourself. Read it for yourself. I know we don't like to read, but it's easier and better to read these things for yourself than to have people out there interpreting and telling you things that are in the proposal that we've made that may or may not be true. Because I was looking at one of the UNAA WhatsApp groups, and some of the stuff was in there, and I'm wondering, where did they get that? It's not in there. We never proposed it. So just instead of being misled, you can just read the documents for yourself. If this is an important thing for you to have an opinion on, please educate yourself. Ugandans, we need to stop being lazy. It's a simple document written in simple English. Read it for yourself. See what is this group proposing. For example, the sentiment of us being against the executive. I want somebody to read and post something and say, here is the part where the CRC is against the executive. You won't find it because we never had that as our operating model. So I'm just begging members of UNA to stop listening to other people who may or may not even be telling you the truth. Just pick up the document and read it for yourself. If you don't have a copy, ask any of us to send you one. Or go on the UNA website, it's posted there. Read it for yourself. Why should you listen to somebody interpreting something for you?
Okay.
You are a member, you are in equal standing, you have your rights, and read the document for yourself and make your own mind. So thank you so much again, Mr. Chairman, for this leadership, and thank you for the time that we've had on the air, and thank you for the listeners for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you.
And happy Thanksgiving.
So Geoffrey, this is it. We appreciate and we thank you so much, and we hope that we shall have another opportunity to have an even better conversation and discussion. Today was great, and we are looking forward to another round.
The other round, two things that you should tell me about, you should let us know about. In this CRC, we don't have a lady on the committee. Why? I don't know. And then the other thing is that this constitution, how are you going to cater for our old people that would like to be members, but they won't be able to articulate or interpret the constitution to their level? So you should think about that. Next time you come, you let us know. Thank you so much for coming to Radio Uganda Boston. And of course, we've been with Alan of Diaspora TV, giving you, broadcasting this interview with the UNAA Constitutional Review Committee. And I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving to you all. Chairman, this is your only chance. What is your kind of music? Are you cooking Thanksgiving?
Kadodi. It looks like members know what I love. But hey, you look, I know what I want, but I may not even know the names. But you play anything that is really, really good, and that calls to the unity of Uganda. And I will be for it, whether it is in Uganda, in Swahili, or anything. I will go for it.
But Mr. Chairman, before he does,
yeah,
Geoffrey, we have two ladies on the committee.
Oh, I didn't.
But they were not here tonight.
They were not here tonight. Okay. answered. Question answered.
Actually,
What are their
and
names?
actually, we had 3, but one of them got very busy. We had the Monica in Imuona, and then, but we now have Charity.
Nakavuye.
Charity Nakavuye, and then we have Georgina Nyakana Kirunda. So those are active and still present members of the CRC. They just didn't show up today.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that. And so one more question for you next time. That is it. Thank you all for tuning in to Radio Ghana Boston, your voice and beyond. It's been me, Geoffrey Kawesa Katagachwan Kakatete Mira, right here as your host. And I'll leave you with this beautiful number from our own DJ Jamo, Kasenge, Olichapa. Enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving to you all.
This is Diaspora TV, your #1 global network.